Kratom and testosterone. Here's my story. Hey guys, welcome back to Joey Talks Life. My name is Joey, and on today's episode, I want to talk to you about Kratom and my testosterone. So a common question I get from a lot of men is, how does Kratom influence testosterone production in the male body? Now, I'm a male. I know women have testosterone as well, but I think it's completely different. So this video is really about men and their testosterone if they're taking Kratom. I will say this: while I was on Kratom, I got my blood work done once a year and my testosterone levels were always normal. Now, the one thing that I will say is that Kratom absolutely decreased my libido. So I was always curious what it was doing with my test, but when I got it tested, it was normal. The other thing that a lot of men reach out to me about, which I'm surprised by, but it's a thing, and I've never experienced this, but is hair loss. I've had many men reach out to me and say, I started losing my hair when I started using Kratom. Now, I do think Kratom influences certain hormones in the body, and I think that could lead to some men for hair loss if you already have that genetic inheritance from your dad or your mom's dad or however it works. If you're prone to hair loss, I think that there is a potential that it could, in essence, set that off. Now, this is not the case for everyone, but I have had that come across my desk many times, and so I do know it is a thing. With all that said, here is where I was surprised. Basically, I quit Kratom somewhere around early October, I think, maybe late September, and when I did, I went through acute withdrawals, and then I went through post-acute withdrawals. The acute withdrawals lasted 5-6 days. The pause, post-acute withdrawal syndrome, that lasted another 5 to 7 weeks, which, if you want to know what that was like, you could check out a video right here where I talk about all of my withdrawals. But after the pause subsided and I started to feel more like myself, I started to get increased anxiety. Like, not just, oh, I'm a little anxious, like full-blown mind and body anxiety. I'd wake up in a panic, my body is shaking, constant worrying, constant obsessing over things, like little things that don't matter in life. It felt like that they were a mountain that were going to take me out. And I've experienced anxiety fluctuate throughout my life, but this was distinctly different. Not only did I feel super anxious, I also had some brain fog. I felt very tired a lot, just very out of my norm. So I was really confused, and I thought it was just simply because of some life stressors. But the more that it went on, the longer it went on, I started to recognize I've experienced this before when I'm on like certain psych meds. It makes me feel very similar to this, and I get off of them, obviously. So I talked to my doctor and I was like, hey, I haven't had my blood work done in a little over a year. Can we do that? So he ordered me blood work. I went, got it done, and 4 days later it came back and I have very low testosterone. And so I was a little perplexed by this, but I've also been on a lot of forums, Reddit, and the like, of people saying that about 2 months after they quit Kratom, they notice that they get this peak of anxiety that can last for months on end. Well, I did a little research, and lo and behold, did you know that dopamine and testosterone in men are like brothers? They work together. When one decreases, the other decreases. If you know anything about quitting Kratom and having Kratom withdrawals, the withdrawals are primarily because of your opioid system and your dopamine system. Restless leg syndrome is a very common symptom during withdrawals. I had it for at least 6-7 weeks. The restless legs were horrible. I've never had that before. They were horrible. Well, did you know restless leg syndrome, outside of withdrawals, like people who just suffer with that syndrome for another reason, lifelong, is because of decreased dopamine. So people who have restless leg syndrome are prescribed dopaminergic drugs to increase their dopamine to help the restless legs go away. So I put 2 and 2 together. This is my hypothesis, my theory, that after I went through withdrawals and my pause and all that, my dopamine system had dropped to a very low point, which was obvious because of the anhedonia, because of the restless legs, because of the insomnia, because of the lack of motivation, lack of focus, all of the things that dopamine provide, I did not have. And I believe that when my dopamine crashed, it brought my testosterone down with it. Now, again, I'm no doctor, I'm no scientist, I'm no biologist, but I do believe that this is what happened because it makes sense to me. So in essence, after I got my blood work back, my doctor put me on enclomiphene, which is a medication which in essence helps the male body to produce more testosterone. I can feel the difference. The anxiety is starting to get less and less each day. Even this morning I woke up and I was content. I didn't have anxiety. I wasn't worried. I didn't have that feeling of panic and terror. And so I think as my testosterone levels are going up, it's also balancing out my dopamine. It's all kind of getting back into homeostasis, and I'm starting to feel more and more like myself. Now, again, this is all anecdotal. This is all based on my own subjective opinion. It's all a hypothesis, but I did want to make this video because it was a big aha moment for me, and getting on the enclomiphene with raising my testosterone has started to make me feel a lot better. And so if you're someone who, even if you're on Kratom right now and you're a man, and you haven't quit, or maybe you have quit and you're experiencing the same thing, like this increased anxiety, or your drive is not coming back, you may want to consider getting some blood work and checking out your testosterone levels. All right, that's all I got for you today. If you are a dude and you've been on Kratom and you had blood work done, if you have any discoveries or things to note about your testosterone, please leave it in the comments below. Also, if you're looking for support, accountability, or education on how to quit Kratom or to get off of it, you can book a free 20-minute session with me where we'll talk about where you're at, what your goals are, and how I may be able to help you. The link is in the description below, simply joeytalks.com/quitkratom. Also, don't